This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. This episode of Top of the Morning is brought to you by Edward Jones financial advisor Kelly Harmon, providing you with well-researched guidance backed by Edward Jones' extensive team and technology that help you prepare for retirement, children's education, or other financial goals. Call 252-473-1006 or visit the link on the screen.
I'm trying to keep from staying low. Low key is over, you can't reach what you don't know. I'm moving different, running circles round them folk. They say your failures teach you everything and more. Look.
Welcome to Top of the Morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're checking out the best 30-minute morning show on the planet. I am your host, Addul Ali, for my twin brother, Raheem, Architect Soto. Thank you so much for supporting what we do here at the Urban Conservative. If you haven't done so already, please jump over to tuconservative.com. Get yourself a membership, cop yourself a work privilege t-shirt or a mug or something. That a way we can keep this thing rolling, as Busta Rhymes say, keep the dice rolling when you're doing that little thing there. But again, jump on over to tuconservative.com. We have all our previous episodes and content. You can also get a Hamilton plan, which will give you access to our exclusive news feed. You can also sponsor an episode. Just click on sponsor an episode there. Got to give a big shout out to our homegirl, Kelly Harmon, Edward Jones financial consultant, for supporting what we do. And as I said, make sure you jump on over to that website, get yourself a t-shirt, a mug, or something like that. Help us keep the dice rolling when we're doing that little thing we doing. I'm going to start right out. I'm just standard TUC mugging it this morning. But folks, you know, a couple of years ago, we watched as Antifa, BLM, and other groups attacked cities. I think there was, what was it called? CHOP was the shop, the Sienna autonomous government zone they had out there. It was CHOP or something like that. But more often than not, what really didn't get reported was black folk tearing up their own neighborhood over social issues, over wrongdoing. You know, we can all agree that in some cases the police were wrong about things. In other cases that we've actually examined here, people were rioting for absolutely no reason. But here's the problem. When you start tearing up stuff and rioting, y'all don't go to rich white people neighborhoods and riot and tear up stuff. Y'all don't do that. What you do is you go to your own neighborhoods. Poor, black, minority communities, low-income communities are often the ones who bear the brunt of the damage from these riots and this tearing up of the community. Now, I am proud to be a member, y'all know, of the Frederick Douglass Foundation. I wholly support our mission, which is keeping the legacy of Frederick Douglass alive, ensuring that the values that allowed Frederick Douglass to succeed continue to get spread. And we're so proud of one of our members, who happens to be a state house rep by the name of Ken Fontenot. He covers Wilson and Nash County. And House Bill 40 here in North Carolina was a bill that increased the penalties. And let me read this correctly. It imposes harsher penalties for rioting, looting, property damage, and assaulting a law enforcement officer or emergency personnel. I'm going to read that one more time. House Bill 40 out of the North Carolina House imposes a harsher penalty for rioting, looting, property damage, and assaulting law enforcement officers or emergency personnel. Because believe it or not, during these riots, people were attacking emergency personnel. Why? I don't know. But I am so proud of Brother Ken Fontenot for getting up. He's getting a little beat up in the press. And I want y'all, especially my folks in Wilson, Nash County, Edgecombe area. I know he doesn't represent the Edgecombe side, but he represents the Nash County side. Primarily, minority district that this brother represents, okay? And I want y'all to listen to how this brother defends House Bill 40. Y'all take a listen to this. Y'all take a good, solid listen to what this brother has to say. Here we go.
I grew up in Southside Chicago as the son of a migrant family from central Louisiana. I grew up primarily low income with other minorities. Currently, my district is primarily filled with low income African American minorities. When I think of this bill and who it protects, what sometimes disturbs me when I hear public discourse is we lose sight of the people who will benefit from certain policy. For instance, one of the most disheartening comments I received from one of my constituents is, Mr. Fontenot, why should I start a business when the next riot happens? It's going to be burned, looted, and my livelihood will be gone. What kind of response could I give that? What disturbs me about the rioting that we saw in my area in Wilson was my sheriff, Calvin Woodard, the first black Democratic sheriff, had people throw bottles at him when he stood up for what was right. My mayor, Carlton Stevens, the first Democratic mayor, had people attempt to assault him when he did what was right. Our downtown, Nash Street, an African-American owned district, glass covered the floors, fire covered the areas, bricks were prepared to hurt law-abiding citizens. What I appreciate about this bill is that it protects low-income African Americans. When you look across the nation at where these riots took place, Los Angeles, Chicago, Minneapolis, black neighborhoods were the neighborhoods that were hurt. African Americans are the ones who foot the bill, not lawyers. And therefore, I look at this bill as necessary to protect the most vulnerable population, the population that cannot go to court because of money, the population who sometimes will never know the windfall of a super phenomenal wealth increase. It's a reality we must fight for. And things like this, where we are not protected by our current laws, only serve to endanger my people. Therefore, I support this bill because it protects who it should, and those that denigrate the hard work ethic of sweat, blood, and tears of our forefathers who come to build up a neighborhood so that our children can be safe, so that education can thrive, that economy can go forward. Those are the people that we should support. For those that would like to destroy it in the midst of bloodlust and chaos, may they not be protected. May they discover the full force of a law-abiding country where people that are working hard are rewarded and those that are destructive are imprisoned. I support this bill.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think anybody could have said that better than Representative Fontenot right there. Ladies and gentlemen, he is 1,000% correct. And quite frankly, I got to say this to all of you Democrats here in the state of North Carolina that's going to say he's not. We'll pick it up after the break. I don't even want to start that thought. We'll pick it up right after this. Don't go nowhere. We're on top of the morning. We'll take a quick commercial break and come right back.
Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Top of the Morning. You're checking out best 30-minute morning show on the planet. I just got to go back to this. We just watched Representative Kim Fontenot, who represents Wilson area, laid a smackdown in support of HB 40, the anti-rioting bill. So definitely appreciate him for standing up and saying what's right and defending what's right in the General Assembly. I gotta talk to y'all about this. And look, I'm gonna say this. We know that Joe Biden, we know that Hunter Biden, we know that this is a crime family. This is a crime family. This is a family that has been for years peddling influence, and I think now it's starting to catch up to them. And I'm almost willing to bet that there's going to, and you're going to see this, somebody's going to jail. Somebody's definitely going to jail. And here's why I say that, because take a look at that there. Secret China donations to University of Delaware. So we allegedly, okay, and I have to throw the word allegedly in there. Allegedly, this is what's happening, and because we want to be careful, we don't want to get deplatformed here. But secret China donations to the University of Delaware soared after the opening of the Biden Institute. Now, this is a second university has been found to have received more than $6.7 million in anonymous donations from China, including direct funding from the Chinese government after Joe Biden set up a program there in his name, according to the Government Accountability Institute analysis. The revelation comes following reporting that anonymous China-linked funds flowing to the University of Pennsylvania almost tripled after the inauguration of the Penn Biden Center, which allegedly illegally housed classified documents. So they go back to March 13, 2017, less than 7 weeks after concluding his second term as vice president. Joe Biden announced the founding of the Biden Institute. And then according to the announcement, his vision was for the Institute as an annual conference at UD, similar to the World Economic Forum at the Aspen Institute. But at the time at UD, multiple members of the family were working on deals worth millions of dollars with foreign businessmen linked to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence. Prior to hosting the event, the UD had never disclosed any funding from China. 1 year later, and just 2 months after the center opened, anonymous donations from China to the UD skyrocketed. The first payment came in April of 2018, the amount of $3.2 million from anonymous donors in China. In December 2018, another anonymous donation from China arrived for $1.9 million. A third China-linked payment for $600,000 in 2019. Folks, influence peddling is a thing, okay? And we have to be, this is why y'all got to get a membership over at the Urban Conservative, because we get real in-depth and in detail, and we don't have to worry about being deplatformed on our own site. But let me tell you something. The idea that the highest levels of government in our country, the Chinese people aside, I'm not talking about the rank and file, everyday Joe Schmo Chinese person. They're not our enemy. We all know that. Let's be real, though. The Chinese Communist Party is not our friends here. They're not our homies. They're not trying to look out for the cookout for us. These people are doing everything they possibly can to take over our country, to destroy the United States. This idea of a non-communist government, they don't like the freedoms that we have in this country. They think we're too decadent, and that's something that if you go back and listen to our Monday night show, we had Professor Nicholas Giordano on. He talked about that. He talked about the decadence that we have here. But let's be realistic. I can go back and find how much money. And I'm not saying the Republicans are exempt from this, because I think Trump did the same thing, and I know Biden did it. They spend millions of tax dollars to revamp the White House every time somebody changes. I don't like the toilet fixtures and the wallpaper and the this. So millions of dollars get spent. The idea here is that Joe Biden and his family allegedly are peddling influence. When we look at what's happening over our skies right now in our country, we're looking at, I dare say, an unprecedented time in America. I'm curious to see what Republicans are going to do about this. If this reporting is this alleged secret donations are in fact actual things that occurred, somebody ought to be going to jail. That's all I'm saying, is somebody ought to be going to jail. I don't see how this is allowed to continue. Well, folks, the reporting is out there. The information's available. What are Republicans going to do with it? That is the question. What exactly are Republicans going to do about this? Now, in 2020, the year that Biden was campaigning for president, anonymous Chinese state-linked entities sent 3 more payments, totaling $1 million to UD, the bulk of which arrived after Biden had been declared the president-elect. 3 of the donations from China, with a combined total of $1 million, were reported as coming from a foreign government source, according to the U.S. Department of Education records assembled from information reported by the DOE to the University of Delaware. Now, it should be noted that according to the available records, the donations from China to the University of Pennsylvania following the creation of the Penn Biden Center appear to have been reported to the DOE as coming from a foreign government source, a fact which led to at least one fact checker to conclude that the Penn Biden Center was being unfairly labeled as China funded because the influx of funding from the China to UPenn following its establishment was not given this identifier. So somebody didn't put an identifier on there that would flag this money as coming from a foreign government. However, 3 donations originating from China to the University of Delaware in the following years in the launch of the institute clearly bear the foreign government source identifier. The actual DOE record field for this identifier asks, is this funding from a government? For these 3 donations, the answer supplied by the University of Delaware is yes. And there's images that you can go to that they've got over on Breitbart that you can see the actual filings. So I've just got to tell you, folks, we're talking about people actually, right? We're talking about people actually taking money from a foreign government. Okay, this is interesting. We gotta do we, Rob, give me a thumbs up. Do we address that? Do we go back to that? Okay. So here's what we got to do, folks. We've got to keep looking at where China is sending money into our country. I totally 1000% agree with what President Trump was saying. We need to be mindful of how much farmland we allow China to buy, how much of our energy sector we allow China to buy, how much of our medicines that we are allowed to be made overseas, those crown jewels of our economy, our energy, our food production, our shipping. We need to be mindful that there are things floating over the sky. So this is an interesting story. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break, but y'all keep your eye on Biden and China. We'll see what happens. We're going to take a quick 1-minute commercial break. We'll be right back. Top of the morning. Don't go nowhere.
This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. Episode of Top of the Morning is brought to you by Edward Jones financial advisor Kelly Harmon, providing you with well-researched guidance backed by Edward Jones' extensive team and technology that help you prepare for retirement, children's education, or other financial goals. Call 252-473-1006 or visit the link on the screen.
Welcome back to Top of the Morning. I got cats running around the studio this morning. You're checking out the best 30-minute morning show on the planet. I'm your host, Addul Ali. If you haven't done so already, man, jump on over to tuconservative.com. Show us some love. We will be in Cary, North Carolina on February the 25th for the Douglas Lincoln debate. So make sure you go to douglasdebatewake.eventbrite.com. Get yourself a ticket. Come on out. We'll have a civil rights icon. Clarence should be a hip-hop icon, but civil rights icon and president of the Frederick Douglass Foundation, Clarence Henderson, will be joining us for a special one-act play and dinner at Sophie's Bar and Grill on February 25th. Make sure you get out and do that. So last thing we want to talk about this morning is about discipline, folks. And here's the thing. This reports are coming out about North Carolina school system suspends a disproportionate number of Black students. Okay. And I'm going to share something with you all here. I've talked to a lot of teachers. I've talked to a lot of school board members. And there are questions about what do you do, right? Do you just kick the kids out of school? So here's some numbers. Black students make up 36% of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, but 68% of out-of-school suspensions. Charlotte-Mecklenburg school officials are giving themselves a progress report focused on out-of-school suspensions, and data from the district shows suspensions are disproportionately impacting Black students. Now, this is going to be an unpopular sentiment. This is probably going to get me in trouble with some folks whose freckles are as close together as mine, but check this out. The problem ain't the teacher's fault. The problem is not the school system's fault. The problem is the parents. The problem is these kids have no home training. Why do I say that? Because my kids went to public school and I wouldn't let them get on the bus with some of y'all kids. Why? Because I hear how they talk. I hear how they disrespect adults. We're not going to pretend for 1 second that these just innocent kids, oh, these poor children are just being thrown. No, you're going to have to tell me the next thing you're going to know is it's about race. The only reason these kids are getting suspended is because it's just about race. No, it's about discipline. It's about holding children to a standard. It's about ensuring that the standards are applied, the discipline standards are applied fairly and equally. But let's not pretend for 1 second. We're going to not pretend that we don't know what's happening in schools. We've seen the videos, the TikTok fights, and what's happening on the school buses. We've seen that. So while the school system wants to say it's all their fault, why isn't anybody talking about why these kids don't have any home training? Why 80+% of these kids are born into single parent households? I get crap thrown at me all the time because people say, oh, you can't go at single moms like that. Well, listen, men, where are you at? Dads, fathers, my son never had no discipline issues in school. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I would pop up. I'd show up at school. Desk check, homie. Open that desk. You got 11 items in the desk, bro. Why ain't the desk organized? I would pop up and have lunch and breakfast with my son at school to let him know and let the teachers know. He would know dad's not playing. So I think a big part of this whole suspension thing, this disproportionate suspension thing, is because we have a disproportionate number of behavior issues. They want to look for the suspension should be not punitive, it should be restorative. I'm sorry, some kids are just not going to get it. They're not in the situations, in the circumstances at home. Sometimes a tough love is necessary. I know it took tough love for me. I know it took me having to go to an alternative school. And then the other side of this, I want to show y'all something. This proves my point about what we're talking about, because then you have this story. Hold on, let me pull my screen back up, because then you have this story right here. This proves my point. Look at what this story says. It's devastating. North Carolina teens move to adult prison far from home. Okay, now you got this lady on here. Lamira Grimes went from seeing her son, who is being held in the juvenile detention center 70 miles from home weekly, to not at all. Now the two are on long distance and short time, sharing sporadic letters and 3 to 5 minute phone calls. The recent closure of the Mecklenburg juvenile detention facility has taken a toll on families, advocates, including teachers, librarians, and mentors, and the system itself. Her 17-year-old son is more than one of 60 juveniles moved to facilities far away from loved ones. Now, this is the mom saying this. It's devastating. It's hurtful. It's frustrating. Her son is in the Foothills Correctional Institution in Burke County. His case was moved to adult court. He was arrested in October of 21 and moved to he was charged with attempted murder. Okay? Let me get this right. So you want us to feel bad for you because you now have to drive however far away it is to go see your son that almost killed somebody, if he didn't kill somebody. This is where we are as a society, folks. They want us to feel bad for the criminal. Do I believe people can be changed? Do I believe that there's an opportunity to restore people and to give them a second chance? Absolutely. But this is not about making life easier for somebody who's gone out and hurt, robbed, or done something crazy to somebody. This is about making sure that we have justice in our society. And the same thing in our school system. How do you expect these kids who want to get an education, who want to succeed, who want to exit poverty, like Ken Fontenot said, who want to get out of the low-income lifestyle? How are these kids supposed to do it if you're not going to get the kids who are a problem out of the school? And now you want to turn the school system into something that it's not. The school system is not a psychiatry practice. It's not a psychology practice. It's not a medical practice. You should be teaching children how to read, how to write, how to do science. This whole idea that the school systems are no, if your kid's going to sell drugs, he needs to go. If your kid's going to assault folks, he or she needs to go. If your child's going to be disruptive, they need to go. And you as a parent need to figure it out. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It is a parent's issue. We have gotten so far away in this country from holding people accountable. There was a time where your child's behavior was your problem. Now we want to blame everything. Well, poor little Raheem is just in an unfortunate situation. Poor little Jaquant Aquarius can't focus because of his... How about we start out giving our kids names that they can phonetically pronounce? How about that? How about we do that? How about we get back to just reading, writing, and mathematics and science? How about we get back to that? How about we stop looking to make excuses for parents' failures and for children's bad decision making? Now, I got you. Young kids are more often than not going to make good decisions, but folks, it is dead wrong to make life easier, make life worse for the students who want to get it right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been checking out Top of the Morning. We are the best 30-minute morning show on the planet. Again, February 25th, Saturday the 25th, we are going to be at Sophie's Bar and Grill in Cary, North Carolina for the Douglas Lincoln debate. Make sure you do that. Also, this coming Saturday, February 18th, if you are in Cabarrus County, make sure that you are at your precinct meetings this coming Saturday. If you want to sponsor an episode of The Urban Conservative, please go over to tuconservative.com. Get yourself a membership. Click on that sponsor a show, sponsoring TUC button. We'd love to have you on board as a sponsor. Make sure you're with us each and every morning, 8 a.m. for Top of the Morning. And again, every Monday, 8 p.m. live for the Urban Conservative Podcast. And hit that notification bell on our new YouTube channel, TUC Twins. That way you know when we drop special news reports, updates, and things of that like. Again, for my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto, I am Addul Ali. You've been checking out Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. We appreciate you. Y'all have a good day. Stay safe and productive, and we'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Peace.
This episode of Top of the Morning is brought to you by Edward Jones financial advisor Kelly Harmon, providing you with well-researched guidance backed by Edward Jones' extensive team and technology that help you prepare for retirement, children's education, or other financial goals. Call 252-473-1006 or visit the link on the screen.